Hi everyone. Today I was going to do a video that followed on from my previous video about moving from 3D to 5D and how we had to do the work instead of relying on some event to kind of magically transform us to 5D. But since I've done that video, I've been reflecting on the work and it's really interesting because I think for those of us who have been awake for decades, that we have spent our whole lives doing the work, whatever that is, spiritual practice, personal growth. I think we've all had to do a lot of different techniques and a lot of different processes to get to where we are today. But I think that's really changed a lot. And when I was trying to pull together all the different types of work that I know I've done in the past, and I guess I made an assumption that everyone still had to do, there was a part of me that just kind of said, well, do we actually have to do any work? Is there anything we have to do? Don't we just have to be? Does a need to do some type of work actually distract us from what it is that we're really trying to do, which is be in the moment? So I realized that we're living in a time of great paradox at the moment, not just in terms of thinking about whether we have to do something or be, but just in so many areas of our lives. I don't know if you have noticed this personally in your life, but I find that I'm just constantly living in two different worlds. It's like one moment you can be in this amazing place of love and light, and then the next moment it can feel like you've just been completely triggered and you could be in darkness or despair. One moment you can feel like you know what's going on, and then the next moment you realize you just have no clue. It feels like a little bit of a crazy period where it's so hard to pull together these paradoxes of 3D and 5D and live in both of them. I get the feeling that the 3D and 5D worlds are starting to cross over more. So sometimes when I can see myself being triggered or I can feel old stuff coming up, there's a part of me that's getting stronger, that's witnessing that and observing that and trusting that everything's going to be okay in parallel at the same time. It's kind of crazy. So I do think that the two worlds are crossing over more and more. And reflecting on that, I was thinking that really what the work is now is living with paradox. And actually, a good friend of mine, we coined this term, paradox is the portal. And I do believe that paradox is the portal to peace. So I think one of the gifts in paradox is, it can make us feel a little crazy, a little insane. And in a way, that insanity, I think, is being reflected in the outside world. We're actually being able to see how our own completely contradictory thoughts are creating a contradictory world, a paradoxical world that can at times seem, a little bit insane. Just with this whole virus thing going on, I don't really watch the news very much, but I thought it was so interesting that now, we're seeing sports stars who train together as criminals, people who are just getting too close to each other are now criminals and they're now the enemy. And you just go, wow, that's really, really crazy. So I think that it's showing us the craziness that goes on in our own minds. So it's a great gift because it gives us an opportunity to heal all of that. Because if we're going to be creators of this new earth, we need to be in control of our mind. We need to be consciously choosing what it is that we want to create. I was watching a satsang recently by Shanya Murti, who I really love watching, and I'll put a link to his channel in the description of this video. But he was talking about how at the end of Kali Yuga, which is, I guess what we might say the transition time from 3D to 5D, that one of the things that was going to disappear was sanity. And, that definitely sort of matches with what I'm observing at the moment around me. So one of the other things that I was thinking about paradox is that, and why it is a portal to peace, is that You think about the Zen masters, they used to give their disciples koans. I think that's how you pronounce it. These were paradoxical, unsolvable riddles that, there was no logical answer for. And disciples, I guess, would just go away and stew on these riddles for days, weeks, months, I don't know, maybe longer. And I think the objective of the master was to have the disciple actually, I guess, crack open their head in a way and just go, oh my God, I cannot solve this with my mind. And that's when the disciple would, I guess, whether they would become enlightened or at least gain some mastery in being able to just be with the riddle and be with the paradox, instead of trying to solve it. Because I think that that is another great gift from these paradoxical times, is understanding that we can't solve anything with our minds, with our lower minds, with our logic, with our rationality. There is no answer. And I think that what's going on is that we're actually being asked to step away from our lower mind, step away from that part that wants to figure everything out and analyze everything and know everything, and instead be. And then when we can be connected to our higher mind, which is where information comes from outside of us, information that we could never have worked out with our logical, rational minds. So what is the work around living with paradox in order to find peace? I wrote down 3 different things. I thought that the first thing was we need to get out of our minds, particularly our lower minds, or what some might call our ego, but it's that part that analyzes, that judges, that figures everything out. When that part of us comes up and wants to be in control, I think that's where we're being asked to say, no, that doesn't work anymore. That doesn't work on the new 5D Earth. So it then becomes about us controlling that. And by controlling it, it means not using it or choosing what we think. So I think that's the first step. Then the second thing I've written down is that, so if we get out of our minds, what that means is that we have to get into our bodies and into our feelings in our bodies. Because at the end of the day, it's our body that's ascending. It's our body that is shifting with Gaia to a different dimension, changing at a cellular level. So it's our body that we, in a way, need to be listening to and supporting and helping as it transitions. And I think the really important thing about feeling in your body is that we feel, but we don't slip back into that mental analysis of feeling. We don't give it a label. We don't judge the feeling. We just sit with it. What's the frequency? Does it feel heavy? Does it feel light? Does it feel like it's supporting or serving? Or does it feel like it's something that I need to let go of? So I think that feeling without judgment is really important. Then the third thing that I've written down about living in these paradoxical times is living with multiple truths. In 3D, we've come from a time where we have believed that everything outside us is real and there is one truth for everyone. And I think we're realizing more and more each day that there are multiple truths all existing simultaneously in parallel. Everybody has their own version of the truth, and there is no truth that's right or wrong. So in these times of paradox, what that means is that we allow all the different truths just to be without judgment. Someone else can be thinking something completely differently to us, completely conflicting, paradoxical, and that's okay. That's their path, that's their truth. And I think when we're able to live with the knowing that there are multiple truths out there, then we can stay at peace. We can stay at peace in our truth. We can stay at peace with whatever's going on out there, no matter how crazy it seems. and being in that place where we just have a complete trust that everything is in divine and perfect order and exactly as it should be. So that's my take on why I think paradox is a portal to peace, and why I think that the work that we all need to do now is really just to live with those paradoxes and be okay. So I hope you find that helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.